right? So it's not like we have a guy that's not going to be working. This guy is one of the most dominant receivers over the past 5 years. This guy has a tremendous work ethic. This guy wants to be here. So I guarantee you, Mike Thomas is working his tail off right now to get back with us. And that's what we're going to be able to cherish. We're going to remember this year for Mike Thomas, right? All great players go through adversity. You know, I had some adversity where I had to sit the bench all of last year, right? So all great players go through adversity. Mike Thomas is going to bounce back stronger than ever. And that's what this culture is with the Saints organization. Before I even got here, you know, the past 4 years, this team has been winning. This team has been together. So we're going to embrace our teammates, and we're going to love on our teammates, and we're going to have their back until they get back.
During that soundbite, I actually hired Jameis to be my hype man.
Amazing.
So if football doesn't work out for him. Greg, what's your reaction to Jameis's comments?
I don't mind his comments. I think they're accurate. Michael Thomas is a worker. And, you know, when you listen to Jameis Winston, like, I don't have the relationship that Brandon, you may have with Jameis, but he comes off as a guy who's always trying to say the right thing. And sometimes it may be conveyed in ways that is like, what? And all he has to do is just truly just say what he feels. But what he's saying is accurate. Michael Thomas is a worker. They've established the culture. Michael Thomas has established himself as one of the best receivers in all of football, not just because of what he does on game day, but because of his work ethic, because of that whole mantra of can't guard Mike. You don't get that good without establishing a work ethic and continuing to thrive. He has some work to do, obviously, coming off an injury. You got a lot of receivers that want to be in that upper echelon, and Michael Thomas feels like, just like anyone who's been injured, who's gone through any type of injury, I got to get back. I got to reclaim my status when it comes to being the best receivers in the game. But as far as Jameis Winston, adding himself in that conversation of great players that has gone through adversity, I honestly love the mentality. I know we're going to all say, well, wait, he's not a great player. Well, in his mind, he is a great player. And Brandon, you know, any player who plays this game should have that mentality, should have that approach. We may not agree with them, but they better have that psyche and that approach to the game and feeling about themselves.
You're right. Listen, you're right about that. And I joke all the time because every time I talk about Jameis, I say I'm all in on Jameis. And then I highlight his stats going back to, 2019, 5,100 yards through the air, 33 touchdowns. But he also had 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. I always exclude the interceptions, and Nick always want to remind me and the audience about that part. But here's the deal. I truly believe that, under Drew Brees and watching Drew work and how he comes to work every single day, even on his off days, he's going to elevate. He's going to get better because he's a sponge. And also Coach Payton. Coach Payton is a guy that keeps it real, and he's also a great coach. If you come in and you work your butt off, you will get better with Coach Payton. And his system is so much science behind it. It makes sense. So, yes, I'm all in on Jameis, and I have had the opportunity to be around Jameis and his wife, and my wife Misha. We had an opportunity of being around them for a couple of off seasons, and they're great people. And what you see is what you get. So what he is in those press conferences, what he is in those videos that Wilds always highlights, his little quirky workouts, that is him 24/7. It's not a game. He has that little country boy swagger, that country boy type of personality. So that is who you are. It's not a game. It's not phony. On Michael Thomas, I had the opportunity to be around Michael Thomas, and I've never seen anything like it. Like, I was a guy that prided myself on hard work and just getting up every single day and just getting after it. And then I had the opportunity to be in New York and play with the Giants, and I saw Odell Beckham Jr., and he was next level. Like, this dude was a machine. And when I got to New Orleans, and that was my last cup of tea, I never seen anything like it. He only knows one speed. So is he working his tail off right now? Absolutely he is, because that's all he knows. I literally saw this guy the day of a game in a walkthrough in a Ritz-Carlton down what's the place in New Orleans where everybody goes and do the Mardi Gras or wherever. We're in the Ritz-Carlton. Bourbon Street, where the Ritz-Carlton is. And there's a couple hours before the game, and literally it's walkthrough. And walkthrough, Nick, all it is like you take a couple steps. You know, Drew Brees, the coaches, Coach Payton, just want to see if you know your assignment. That's it. This dude was going full speed. He was in a full-out sweat. And I'm looking around because I just got there, so I'm looking at Coach Payton, I'm looking at Drew Brees, and I'm like, what is this? They said, Brandon, he does it every single week. This dude is next level when it comes to taking care of himself. But that's not the issue. The issue is, can he and Coach Payton get on the same page and get through all this drama and get this organization back on track now that Drew Brees is no longer there?
And so that leads me to my question, because the Saints desperately need Michael Thomas. Because if you look at their pass catchers, if Michael Thomas isn't there, it's not a great group. Nick Vannett and Adam Troutman are their top tight ends now. Traquan Smith, who's the other, and Marquez Callaway are their top receivers. Obviously, Kamara's a sensational player. And if you're going to have Taysom playing quarterback, he's not one of your guys you can use as like a gadget player to catch passes. They really, really need Michael Thomas, which is why, Greg, I want to throw it to you because I have a question. He suffered this injury in week 1. The Saints got knocked out of the playoffs in the middle of January. Why did he have surgery in June? Like, he's not recovering from the injury. He's recovering right now from surgery. And I know at times guys have delayed surgeries if their contract situation's unsettled, but Michael Thomas is on a record-breaking extension in the middle of it. So what do you make of the fact, because Sean Payton, when he was asked about it, didn't hide the fact he was a little upset. He goes, listen, he's getting back from surgery that, quite frankly, he should have had earlier. What would be the reasoning, Greg, as a player, that he waited ostensibly an extra 6 months to have this surgery?
A couple things, Nick. And it does seem strange every time you hear about a player postponing surgery or not going right into surgery. But you got to think, when you get injured and you have an injury like Michael Thomas suffered, I've been injured. And I remember when I had my sports hernia, I didn't know the diagnosis to be that right away. And so you're going through the process of making sure that not only the team doctors, because we as players feel like, okay, the team doctors, they're great, but they're also going to side more with the team. They have a loyalty and an interest of the team more so than myself. So I want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can outside of the facility to ensure that I'm getting the diagnosis correct and seeing if I do actually then need surgery. Sometimes it's like, okay, I don't know if you will need surgery. You may need surgery. And then you go through the process and it's like it's not getting any better. You're going through all the rehab. You're going through all the little workouts, everything that you need to do. And then it still doesn't progress. And then that's when you have to make the decision, well, let's do the surgery. And at that moment, you've lost so much time when there was so much unknown and there was an expectation or a hope that you could actually get by without getting the surgery. And that I've experienced that. Brandon, I'm sure you've experienced that. So many players go through that. And so that's why surgery tends to get pushed back. And it never looks good on the player when it happens. But that's my experience with it.
Okay, so Greg, I think that is a totally reasonable explanation that you just gave. And if Michael Thomas gave that explanation to Sean Payton, I don't think Sean Payton would have come out with comments saying it should have happened a long time ago. I think he would have come out and say, well, like, Michael Thomas, we thought he didn't need surgery. But Nick almost did a favor to Sean Payton because his quote was far more caustic than the way that Nick paraphrased it. He's like, this surgery should have happened a long time ago. There is literally zero reason to say that, to basically throw Michael Thomas's decision-making under the bus, unless you think there's something else happening. Now, on one end of the spectrum, maybe it's a Scottie Pippen last dance thing, where Michael Thomas is upset, just like Scottie Pippen was upset about his contract or relationship. Scottie Pippen delayed surgery. He's like, I'm going to have my summer, so I'll have surgery late, and I'll take time off during the year. That's what it smells like. I'm not saying it's out of the question, but, Brandon, Sean Payton's comments did not seem like everything was good. Sean Payton did not give the benefit of the doubt, like, he could have even said, like, I wish it happened earlier. Or, it would have been nice to happen earlier. He's like, it should have happened earlier. And it was not like a kind way of putting it. So, look, I think there's more, there's enough smoke here where I think there's some fire burning in their relationship.